Chosen one, have you ever noticed that the moment before a storm hits, everything goes silent? Have you ever felt your words rising in your throat like fire, ready to defend yourself, ready to speak your truth, ready to finally tell them what they deserve to hear, but something invisible, held your tongue? What if that something wasn't weakness? What if it was warfare? Chosen one, I need you to stop scrolling, stop moving, stop everything you're doing right now and listen to what I'm about to tell you. Because what you're about to hear could change the trajectory of the next decade of your life. Don't speak, not yet. Heaven is listening to your silence. Right now, this very second, there is a courtroom convened in the celestial realm with your name written across the docket. Angels aren't recording your words, they're recording your restraint. The divine prosecutor isn't building a case against you. He's building one for you. But here's what will shock you to your core. Your silence is the evidence. You see, you've lived 70, 80, maybe 90 years on this earth. You've buried people you loved. You've survived betrayals that should have destroyed you. You've carried wounds in your chest that you've never told a living soul about. And somewhere along the way, you learned something the younger generation hasn't figured out yet. You learned that not every battle deserves your breath. But what you didn't know, what heaven is revealing right now, is that the silence you thought was cowardice, that restraint you beat yourself up for, that moment when you could have destroyed them with your words but chose to close your mouth instead, that wasn't weakness, beloved. That was your spiritual weapon being loaded. God has paused your timeline. The atmosphere around you right now is thick with divine anticipation. Something is shifting. Something ancient is awakening. And there's a reason, a prophetic, powerful, earth-shaking reason, why the Spirit of the living God is whispering to you right now. Be still. Don't speak, not yet. Before this message ends, you're going to know exactly why. Before we go deeper into this mystery, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're sowing seeds into a harvest that will touch souls across this nation. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your very attention, it all matters. And if this message is already resonating with your soul, go ahead and let the Spirit lead your heart. Now, if something inside you is already stirring, if your spirit just recognized itself in these words, I need you to do something. Don't overthink it. Just type 4 words in the comments right now. I'm listening. Let heaven see your obedience. Because what happens next will explain why your silence has been shaping everything. Why does it hurt more when the betrayal comes from family? Why does the loneliness feel heaviest at 3 in the morning when the house is quiet and your thoughts are screaming? Why do the people who should understand you the most seem the most determined to misunderstand everything about you? Let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core, beloved. That pain you're carrying, that weight in your chest that makes it hard to breathe some mornings, it's not random. The attacks you've been enduring aren't coincidental. And the silence God has been demanding from you, it's not because He's ignoring your suffering. It's because He's shielding your destiny. You see, for 70, 80, maybe 90 years, you've been navigating storms that other people will never understand. You've sat at kitchen tables with coffee going cold, staring at phones that don't ring. You've watched your own children walk past the wisdom you've earned through decades of fire and dismiss it like yesterday's newspaper. You've prayed prayers that felt like they hit the ceiling and fell back on your chest like stones. And somewhere in all that silence, all that suffering, all those nights when you whispered, "God, do you even see me?" you made a decision. You stopped defending yourself. You stopped trying to make them understand. You closed your mouth and let the accusations hang in the air unanswered. The world called that defeat. Heaven called it deployment. listen to me carefully. There is a war being waged over your life right now that you cannot see with your natural eyes. While you've been sitting in your living room thinking you're just getting old, just fading into the background, just becoming irrelevant, the enemy has been in full panic mode. Because he knows something about silent believers that loud ones never discover. You can't track what won't speak. Think about wolves hunting in the dark. They circle, they listen. They wait for movement, for sound, for any indication of where their prey is hiding. But when the prey goes completely still, when it stops making noise, when it refuses to reveal its position, the predator loses its advantage. You think your silence has been weakness. You think keeping your mouth shut when they slandered you was cowardice. You think swallowing your words when they betrayed you was pathetic. No, chosen one, that was spiritual warfare at the highest level. Turn with me to Matthew 20:34. Jesus stood before Pilate, the most powerful political figure in Jerusalem. This was his moment to defend himself, to explain himself, to make them understand who he really was. The accusations were flying. The lies were piling up. Every fiber of his human nature must have screamed to speak, to correct the record, to set the story straight. But Scripture records something that should stop you in your tracks. Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Silence was his weapon. Silence was his testimony. Silence was his divine strategy. Because Jesus understood something that you're just beginning to grasp. When you're operating under heaven's orders, when you're carrying a divine assignment, when your destiny is connected to purposes bigger than your reputation, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is absolutely nothing. Your silence isn't submission to their narrative. It's submission to God's sovereignty. But here's where it gets prophetic, and I need you to pay close attention because this is going to explain everything you've been going through. There is a specific person in your life, yes, a real person with a name and a face, whose spirit reacts violently when you speak, not because your words are wrong, not because your truth isn't valid, but because when you open your mouth, you give them access to your frequency. You reveal your strategy. You expose your position. God has been restraining your voice to protect your calling. Every time you wanted to tell that family member exactly what you thought of their disrespect, and something held your tongue. Every time you wanted to defend yourself against those false accusations, and peace settled over you like a blanket. Every time you started to type out that message, that email, that comment, and your fingers froze. That wasn't you being weak. That was the Holy Spirit putting his hand over your mouth, because he could see what you couldn't. There are snares in speech. There are traps in testimony. There are ambushes hidden in arguments that feel righteous but lead to spiritual destruction. You've been living in what I call the divine restraint, and I know it's been frustrating. I know you've felt muzzled, suffocated, like you're carrying truth that's burning a hole in your chest, but you can't release it. But what if I told you that your silence has been doing more damage to the enemy's plans than any words ever could? What if the very thing that's made you feel powerless has actually been making you untouchable? The enemy can't prosecute what he can't provoke. He can't twist words you never spoke. He can't use your voice against you if your voice remains sealed until heaven says otherwise. But there's something else happening that you need to understand. While you've been silent, God has been speaking. While you've been still, heaven has been moving. While you've been holding your peace, divine courtrooms have been convening with your name on the docket. And every moment of restraint, every swallowed word, every time you chose silence over vindication has been recorded as evidence of your maturity, your trust, your readiness for what's coming next. Chosen one, if this is landing in your spirit like lightning, if you feel something ancient awakening in your chest right now, hit that like button. Not for me, for you. Plant this word deeply in your spirit so the enemy knows you've received the revelation. Because what I'm about to show you next will explain exactly what God has been building while you've been silent, and why your next season depends entirely on your ability to keep your mouth shut just a little bit longer. You want to know what's killing most believers today? It's not doubt, it's not even sin, it's noise. The relentless, suffocating noise of having to respond to everything, defend everything, explain everything. And somewhere in all that noise, the voice of God gets drowned out. But you chosen one, you've been feeling something different lately, haven't you? A pull toward silence, a restraint you can't explain, words dying on your lips before they ever leave your mouth. And the world has told you that's weakness, that's passivity, that's you giving up. Let me tell you what that really is, that's God. Turn with me to Psalm 4:6. You've heard this verse 1,000 times, but tonight, right now, I need you to hear it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Be still and know that I am God. 5 words that will save your soul if you let them. But here's what most people miss. The Hebrew word for be still isn't be quiet. It's rapha. It means to let go, to cease striving, to surrender your grip on the outcome. It's not passive, it's the most active form of obedience you ever practice. You see, being still doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the hardest thing a human being can do, trusting God enough to get out of His way. How many decades have you spent fighting your own battles? How many wars have you waged with your words, trying to defend yourself, prove yourself, justify yourself to people who were never going to understand you anyway? And where did it get you? I'll tell you where. Exhausted, wounded, carrying scars that nobody else can see. But something shifted recently, didn't it? You stopped fighting back. Not because you're weak, but because something inside you finally whispered, "This isn't my battle anymore." That whisper, that was the voice of the Almighty saying, "I've got this." But you need to be still. Listen to me carefully. Some of the greatest breakthroughs of your life didn't happen when you spoke. They happened when you waited. Think about it. When did that check show up in the mail? When you stopped panicking about the bills? When did that diagnosis change? When you finally released it to God instead of rehearsing it every night at 4 a.m.? When did that wayward child come home? When you stopped chasing them with words and started covering them with silent prayers? Your silence has always been more powerful than your speech. You just didn't know it. And your age, oh beloved, your age isn't a barrier, it's evidence. Evidence that you've survived more storms than most people could handle. Evidence that you've learned what the young ones haven't figured out yet. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to correct every wrong. You don't have to prove yourself to every critic. You've earned the right to be still. But here's the mystery that's going to shake you. Heaven isn't just asking you to be quiet. Heaven is editing the next chapter of your story. Right now, this very moment. And your silence, your holy, obedient, faith-filled silence, is allowing God to write without interruption. Do you understand what I'm saying? Every time you open your mouth in the flesh, you erase a line that God was writing in the spirit. Every time you defend yourself, you interrupt the defense heaven is building on your behalf. Every time you speak out of hurt instead of waiting on the Holy Spirit, you delay the vindication that's already in motion. God is protecting you from speaking words you can't take back. But more than that, He's preparing you for something your words could never accomplish. Think about Jesus before Pilate. They accused Him, mock spit on Him, demanded answers. And what did He do? Matthew 20:24 says, He gave him no answer, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. The King of Kings stood silent while hell screamed lies about Him. Why? Because His silence was creating space for the greatest miracle in human history. 3 days later, that silence would shatter death itself. Your silence right now is creating space for your resurrection. But I need to tell you something that's urgent, something that's burning in my spirit like fire shut up in my bones. There's a window of time, a divine window, when God is asking you to be still. And if you miss it, if you break that silence prematurely, you'll forfeit what He was about to do. In a moment, I'm going to show you exactly what God is protecting you from by keeping you silent. But first, you must understand what He's preparing you for. Because the two are connected. The enemy you don't speak to today is the territory you'll possess tomorrow. So right now, before we go any deeper, I need you to make a choice, not tomorrow, not when you feel like it. Right now. If you're ready to embrace the holy stillness, if you're ready to let God fight your battles while you stand firm in silence, I need you to declare it. Type these 3 words in the comments. I choose stillness. Not as a slogan, as a covenant, as a sacred agreement with heaven that you will trust God's timing over your tongue. Because what's about to be revealed next will show you exactly why your obedience in this moment is shaping everything that's coming. You know what's keeping you up at 3 a.m.? It's not just insomnia. It's not just age. It's the weight of words you've been holding back. Words that are burning in your chest like acid. Words that would finally set the record straight. Words that would make them understand what they did to you. But listen to me very carefully, chosen one. There are ears in the room you cannot see. Right now, this very moment, someone is waiting for you to speak. Not because they care about the truth. Not because they want reconciliation. But because they need ammunition. They need your words twisted, recorded, and used against you in rooms you'll never be invited to. Let me ask you something that's going to cut deep. How many times have your own children misquoted you? How many times did you pour out your heart to a friend, only to hear a completely different version of your conversation repeated back to you weeks later? How many times has the church you served faithfully for decades turned your honest confession into gossip disguised as a prayer request? You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? Here's what's happening in the invisible realm while you're sitting there trying to decide whether to speak or stay silent. The enemy has stationed recording demons around your life, not to hear the truth, but to twist it. Not to understand you, but to use you. They're crouched in the corners of every conversation, every phone call, every family gathering, waiting for you to say just one thing they can weaponize. Proverbs 21:23 declares, Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. But that's not just wise advice, beloved. That's spiritual warfare strategy. You see, the devil doesn't need you to sin. He just needs you to speak. Because he builds traps using conversations. But here's the revelation that's going to change everything. He cannot build what he cannot hear. Think about Nehemiah. When his enemies tried to lure him into a conversation, tried to get him to come down from the wall, tried to make him explain himself, defend himself, justify himself, what did he say? Nehemiah 6:3, I am doing a great work so that I cannot come down. He didn't explain. He didn't defend. He didn't justify. He just kept building. Your silence right now, that's you building. That's you constructing something in the spirit realm that your enemies cannot sabotage because they cannot access it. But I need you to understand something that's going to shake you. God isn't just protecting you by sealing your lips. He's blocking their access. Every time you feel that supernatural restraint, every time the words are right there but something won't let them come out. Every time you walk away from a conversation frustrated because you couldn't say what you wanted to say, that's not weakness. That's divine intervention. God is literally standing between your mouth and their ears saying, not this one today. Not ever, because he knows what you don't know yet. He knows that adult child who stopped calling isn't looking for understanding. They're looking for evidence to justify their abandonment. He knows that sibling who keeps asking about your finances isn't concerned, they're calculating. He knows that former friend from church isn't checking on you, they're fishing for information to feed the prayer chain gossip mill. And if you speak too soon, if you open your mouth before heaven gives permission, you may speak away what God is trying to give you. Let me tell you what happened to Job. His friends came to comfort him. They sat in silence for 7 days. 7 days of holy, powerful, God-ordained silence. But then they opened their mouths. And for the next 30 chapters they accused him, judged him, condemned him, twisted his words, built cases against his character. Job 10:10 fine records his response, "Oh, that ye would altogether hold your peace." And it should be your wisdom. Your wisdom right now is your silence. That pension they're trying to get information about, your silence protects it. That inheritance they keep bringing up in casual conversation, your silence secures it. That reputation they've been trying to destroy with half-truths and speculation, your silence is rebuilding it in rooms you'll never enter, in conversations you'll never hear, in the courtrooms of heaven where the real verdicts are rendered. James 1:10 says, "Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath." But here's what the original Greek reveals. Slow to speak literally means to put a bridle on your tongue, to control it like a wild horse that wants to run. Your tongue isn't lazy right now. It's powerful. So powerful that God Himself has to restrain it until the appointed time. Because there's something coming that requires your voice to be pure, your words to be clean, your testimony to be uncontaminated by the foolishness of premature speaking. The trap is set. The ears are listening. The recording angels are waiting to see if you'll pass this test. And the enemy, he's getting nervous. Because every day you don't speak is another day his plan falls apart. Every conversation you walk away from is another door he cannot open. Every time you choose silence over satisfaction, obedience over impulse, restraint over revenge, you're winning a war he thought he'd already won. So let me ask you the question that will determine your next season. Will you give them the words they're waiting for? Or will you give God the silence He's requiring? Type, "I refuse to speak prematurely," if you're choosing obedience over impulse. Let heaven record your decision. Because what I'm about to show you next will reveal exactly what God is doing in your silence, and why the enemy is terrified of what's about to come out of your mouth when heaven finally says, "Now." You know what breaks my heart? It's the emails I receive from people in their 70s and 80s who whisper the same desperate question, "Has God forgotten me?" Dear one, let me tell you something that's going to shatter the lie you've been carrying. The silence you're experiencing right now, that deafening, suffocating quiet that fills your house at 4 a.m. when the memories get loud and the regrets start circling like vultures, that silence isn't God's absence. It's His strategy. Look at me, I need you to hear this with every fiber of your being. God is not ignoring you. He has never been louder than He is in this silence. I know how it feels when your phone doesn't ring anymore, when your children are too busy to call, when your friends have passed on, one by one, until Sunday dinner is just you and an empty chair where your spouse used to sit. The quiet can feel like abandonment, can't it? Like you've been left behind in a world that's moved on without you. But what if I told you that silence is not emptiness? What if I told you it's fullness waiting to overflow? Think about winter. Walk through Central Park in January and what do you see? Dead trees, frozen ground. Everything looks lifeless, doesn't it? But beneath that cold soil, something miraculous is happening. The roots are growing deeper. The seeds are splitting open in the darkness. Life is preparing for spring in a way that summer could never accomplish. Your silence is your winter. And winter is not death, it's preparation for resurrection. The prophet Habakkuk knew this achy. He cried out in chapter 1, verse 2, "How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Does that sound familiar? Have you screamed those same words into your pillow? Have you wept those same prayers until your voice gave out? But look at what God answered in chapter 2, verse 2, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." Did you catch that? It will not delay. Not maybe it'll come, not if you're good enough. It will come. The silence has an expiration date written in heaven's calendar, and beloved, that date is approaching faster than you know. But here's what most people miss about God's silence. Here's the mystery that will change everything. While you've been sitting in the quiet, while you've been feeling forgotten, while you've been wondering if your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling, heaven has been in motion. Unseen and heard, but unstoppable. Right now, angels are clearing pathways you didn't even know were blocked. Doors are being unlocked that you haven't reached yet. Enemies are being repositioned. Provisions are being transferred. Relationships are being prepared. Opportunities are being created. All in silence. All in secret. All for you. God is not hiding from you, precious one. He's hiding something for you. You think he's distant. He's closer than your next breath. You think he's forgotten. Your name is engraved on the palms of his hands. Isaiah 14 Missy isn't poetry, it's a promise. He literally carved your name into his flesh. Every time he opens his hands to bless someone, he sees you first. But I need you to understand something that might shake you. The reason you must be silent now is because what God is preparing to say through you is too powerful to be contaminated by premature words. He's tuning your voice to heaven's frequency. He's aligning your tongue with his truth. He's making sure that when you finally do speak, it won't be your words, it will be his oracle. Think about an orchestra. Before the symphony begins, there's a moment you've heard it if you've ever been to Lincoln Center, when the conductor raises his baton and every musician goes silent. The audience leans forward. The air becomes electric. That pause, that holy hush before the first note, that's not absence of music. That's anticipation of magnificence. You are in that pause right now. The baton is raised. The audience of heaven is leaning in. And the music that's about to pour through your life will be so beautiful, so powerful, so anointed that it will heal people you've never met and break chains in families you'll never know. But first, you must trust the silence. I know it's hard. I know every quiet evening feels like another day wasted. I know you look at your age and think, how much time do I have left? But beloved, God doesn't measure time the way you do. Moses was 80 when his real assignment began. Abraham was 100 when the promise was born. Your age isn't running out, it's rising up. The blank page isn't a sign of nothing to say. It's proof that what's coming is too significant to be rushed, too sacred to be scribbled, too eternal to be edited. So let me ask you something that's going to determine everything that happens next. Can you trust God's silence as much as you've trusted his voice? Can you believe he's working when you can't see it? Can you stand in the winter and believe in spring? Because what you do in this silence, how you respond to this divine delay, is shaping everything that's about to unfold. And what's about to unfold will leave you breathless. Whisper it right now wherever you are. Don't type it, don't shout it. Whisper it from the deepest chamber of your heart. Lord, I trust your silence. Because, beloved, the silence is about to break. And when it does, you're going to understand why God made you wait. You want to know what's happening in the invisible realm right now while you're watching this. Let me tell you something that's going to stop your heart for a second. There's a divine chessboard spread across eternity with your name carved into every square. And right now, this very moment, angels are holding their breath. Not because you're about to make the wrong move, but because you're about to make the right one. And hell knows it. You see, beloved, most people think spiritual warfare is loud. They think it's shouting prayers at 2 a.m., rebuking demons at the top of your lungs, declaring and decreeing until your voice goes hoarse. But let me tell you what 70, 80, 90 years of walking with God should have taught you by now. The most powerful weapon in your arsenal isn't your voice. It's your silence. Think about it. When you were young, what did you do when someone hurt you? You fought back immediately. You defended yourself. You made sure everyone knew your side of the story. You couldn't rest until you'd spoken your piece, corrected the record, set things straight. But something shifted in you over the decades, didn't it? You started to realize that some battles aren't worth your breath. Some accusations don't deserve your response. Some people aren't ready for your truth. That wasn't you getting weaker. That was you getting wiser. And here's what's going to shake you to your core. God has been waiting your entire life for you to reach this exact level of spiritual maturity, because what He's about to entrust you with is so powerful, so weighty, so absolutely devastating to the kingdom of darkness that He couldn't give it to the version of you that needed to be heard, needed to be right, needed to be vindicated. Your next elevation won't come from what you say. It will come from what you refuse to say. Let that sink in for a moment. Everything you've been praying for, the breakthrough, the vindication, the restoration, the open doors, it's all on the other side of your closed mouth. You know what God is testing right now? He's not testing your faith. You've already proven you believe. He's not testing your prayer life. He already knows you're a warrior in the prayer closet. He's testing something deeper, something that only comes with age, something that can't be taught in a Sunday school class or a Bible study. He's testing your wisdom. Proverbs 10:10 says it so clearly it should make you gasp. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. But you're not a fool, chosen one. You're the opposite. You've walked through fire. You've survived what should have killed you. You've outlived your enemies and outlasted your accusers. And now God is saying, show me that you've learned. Show me that you understand the power of restraint. Because here's the truth that most believers never discover. Your silence is a test of maturity. Think about Jesus, the Son of the living God, standing before Pilate. False accusations flying, lies being told about him right to his face. The religious leaders mocking him, spitting on him, calling for his crucifixion. And what did he do? Isaiah 53:10 tells us, he was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the one who spoke worlds into existence with a word. He stood there and said, nothing. Why? Because he understood something that most of us spend our entire lives trying to learn. Some victories require your voice, but the greatest victories require your silence. Look at Daniel in that lion's den, thrown into a pit of starving beasts because jealous men couldn't stand his favor with God. Do you know what he did all night while those lions circled him? He didn't rebuke them. He didn't preach to them. He didn't explain to them why they had no right to touch him. He was silent, and God shut the mouths of the lions. Your silence doesn't make you weak, beloved. Your silence makes God strong in your situation. Or what about Mary at the foot of the cross, watching her son, the child she'd nursed, the boy she'd raised, the man she knew was innocent, being murdered in the most brutal way imaginable? People were mocking him. Soldiers were gambling for his clothes. The crowd was celebrating his death. And Mary stood there in silence, not because she had nothing to say, but because she understood that some moments are too sacred for words. Some pain is too deep for explanation. Some trust in God is too profound to require your defense. Faith that grows old becomes deeper, steadier, richer. You're not the same believer you were at 30. You're not even the same person you were at 50. The decades have done something to you that youth could never accomplish. They've taught you the power of waiting, the strength of silence, the victory of restraint. And right now, heaven is waiting for you to make one move. Just one, not a big dramatic gesture, not some loud declaration. Just one simple act of obedience that will unlock everything God has been holding back. Stop reacting, stop explaining, stop defending, stop proving. That person who's been talking about you, let them talk. That family member who doesn't understand you, let them wonder. That situation that's begging for your commentary, let it beg. Because here's what's happening in the invisible realm that you can't see with your natural eyes. Every time you choose silence when you have the right to speak, you're making a move on that divine chessboard. Every time you hold your tongue when you could destroy someone with your words, angels record it as evidence of your maturity. Every time you refuse to defend yourself, God says, now they're ready for what I've been preparing. The gates are about to open. The doors you've been praying about for years are about to swing wide. The breakthrough you've been believing for is about to manifest. But it's waiting on the other side of your silence. This isn't theory, beloved. This is your life right now. This is the choice standing in front of you today. That text message you want to send, don't. That phone call you want to make to set someone straight. That conversation you've been rehearsing in your mind for weeks, cancel it. Your silence is your weapon. Type 17 send in the comments right now as your declaration, not as superstition, not as magic, but as your covenant with heaven that you understand what God is doing, that you're choosing wisdom over vindication, that you're trusting His timing over your need to be heard. Because what's about to happen next will prove why your silence has been the most powerful prayer you never knew you were praying. You know what breaks my heart? It's watching God's chosen ones sit in silence for decades, carrying pain, holding back tears, swallowing words that could have destroyed their enemies, and thinking they got nothing in return. But what if I told you that every moment you bit your tongue, every night you cried alone instead of calling them out, every time you chose silence over vindication, heaven was recording it all, not as loss, as investment. Listen to me carefully, beloved. Your silence wasn't empty. It was pregnant, and what it's about to birth will leave you speechless. There's a reason why Psalm 3:7 commands us to be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him, not quietly, not passively, but still, like water that stopped churning long enough to become a mirror, so clear that it reflects the face of God Himself. You've been still, haven't you? For years, maybe decades. While others ran their mouths, you held yours. While they defended themselves on social media, you deleted the draft. While they cursed their enemies, you prayed for yours. And you wondered, God, did you even notice? He noticed, and He's been building something. You see, there's a spiritual law most people never discover. It's hidden in Isaiah 30:53. In quietness and trust is your strength, not in volume, not in visibility, not in making sure everyone knows your side of the story. Your strength, your real, unshakable, supernatural strength, has been forged in the furnace of your silence. But here's what's about to shatter everything you thought you understood about your obedience. Clarity is coming. That situation that's had you confused for months, that relationship you couldn't figure out, that decision that's been tormenting you at 3 a.m., God is about to speak. And when He does, it won't be a whisper you have to strain to hear. It will be a word so clear, so undeniable, so precise that you'll wonder how you ever questioned it. 1 Kings 19 tells us that Elijah heard God not in the earthquake, not in the fire, not in the wind, but in the still small voice. But here's what most preachers won't tell you. That still small voice only came after Elijah stopped running, after he stopped defending himself, after he got quiet enough to hear what heaven had been trying to say all along. Your silence created the acoustic environment for divine clarity. Vindication is coming. And I'm not talking about the cheap kind where you get to say, "I told you so." I'm talking about the kind of vindication that makes your enemies bow without you ever opening your mouth. The kind where God himself stands up in the courtroom of public opinion and says, "Enough. I'll take it from here." Psalm 3:5-8 cries out, "Awake and rise to my defense. Contend for me, my God and Lord." Notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say you contend. It says let God contend. And when the Almighty becomes your attorney, you don't need to speak another word. You know why your enemies have been so loud lately? Because they sense something. They feel the shift. They know that your silence wasn't surrender, it was the calm before their reckoning. Divine timing is unlocking. Every door that slammed in your face when you were younger, every opportunity you missed because you weren't ready, every blessing that seemed to go to someone less deserving, it's all been in heaven's holding pattern. Not delayed, repositioned. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. But here's the mystery, God's timing isn't linear, it's layered. He's been stacking your blessings while you've been silent, compounding your obedience, multiplying your faithfulness. And now, right now, the release valve is turning. Unexpected provision is about to flood your life. I'm talking about money from sources you never applied to. Opportunities from people who don't even know your name yet. Resources appearing in your mailbox, your bank account, your front door that make no logical sense. Because when God decides to reward your silence, he doesn't do it quietly. Malachi 3:10 thunders, "Test me in this, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." You've been tested in the silence. Now watch what happens when heaven opens the floodgates. Restoration of peace is washing over you. That anxiety that's been your unwelcome companion for years. That restlessness that won't let you sleep through the night. That heaviness you wake up with every morning, it's lifting. Right now, as these words penetrate your spirit, something is breaking. Philippians 4:10 promises, "The peace of God which transcends all understanding will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Not a peace that makes sense. Not a peace you earned. A peace that defies explanation. A peace that comes from knowing you obeyed when disobedience would have been easier. Protection from hidden enemies is activating. You don't even know the bullets you dodged by staying silent. You don't see the traps that closed because you didn't step into the argument. You can't count the assignments against you that got cancelled because you refused to give the enemy ammunition. Psalm 1:1 declares, "He will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Those angels have been working overtime, beloved. While you were silent, they were loud. While you held your peace, they held your ground. Now hear me clearly. Your years, those 70, 80, 90 years you've walked this earth, they are not wasted. Every moment of quiet strength, every tear you cried alone in your kitchen at dawn, every word you swallowed instead of spewed, God saw it all. Your silence is your crown. The world looks at you and sees someone who got walked over. Heaven looks at you and sees royalty. The world thinks you were too weak to fight back. God knows you were too wise to waste your anointing on fools. And here's the prophetic word that's going to wreck you. Your silence has been building a future you didn't even know how to ask for. While you were holding your tongue, God was writing your testimony. While you were biting back words, heaven was crafting your legacy. While you thought you were losing ground, the Almighty was preparing terrain you've never seen. The sun is breaking, chosen one. After the longest storm of your life, light is cracking through the horizon. That sealed envelope heaven's been holding with your name on it. It's opening. And what's inside is going to make every silent night, every swallowed word, every restrained response worth it. So let me ask you this. Are you ready? Are you ready to receive what your silence has purchased? Are you ready to step into the future your obedience built? If you're ready, if every cell in your body is saying, "Yes, Lord, I'm ready," then type it right now. Don't think, don't hesitate, just declare it. I'm ready. Because what heaven is about to release cannot be contained in human language. But it starts with your willingness to receive. Listen to me, beloved. We've walked through fire together in this message. We've uncovered mysteries that heaven itself has been guarding. But now, right now, we stand at the threshold of the most sacred revelation of all. The silence you keep now is shaping your entire tomorrow. Not yesterday's silence. Not last year's restraint, this silence. The one you're carrying right this very second. The words you're holding back from that ungrateful child. The defense you're refusing to give to people who've already made up their minds about you. The explanation you're not offering to those who wouldn't understand anyway. That silence is not passive, chosen one. It is prophetic architecture. God is using your restraint to build something in the invisible realm that your words would destroy. Think about Moses at the Red Sea. Exodus 4:34 records one of the most powerful commands ever given. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still, but do you understand what was happening in that moment? 2 million Israelites screaming in terror. The Egyptian army closing in from behind. The sea blocking them in front. Chow's panic. Everyone demanding Moses do something, say something, fix something. And what did God tell him? Be still, be quiet. Watch me work. Moses didn't part that sea with his voice. He parted it with his obedience to silence. Your breakthrough is not waiting for you to speak. It's waiting for you to trust the silence long enough for God to move. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what I see happening all across this nation to God's chosen ones. You've been silent for so long that you've started to believe the silence means you've lost your voice. You've held back your words for so many years that you think you've lost your authority. That is a lie straight from the pit of hell. Your silence has not weakened you. It has weaponized you. Every day you chose not to defend yourself, you were being trained in divine warfare. Every moment you refused to retaliate, you were learning the language of kings. Every time you walked away from an argument you could have won, you were being fitted for a crown. And that crown, beloved, that crown is about to be placed on your head. Can you feel it? That weight settling on your spirit right now. That's not burden, that's royalty. Heaven is commissioning you in this very moment. Not for what you said, but for what you didn't say. Job understood this mystery. For 37 chapters his friends accused him, mocked him, questioned his integrity, demanded he defend himself. And Job spoke, or he spoke. He defended, he explained, he justified. But nothing changed. Then in Job 44 something shifted. Job said, "I am unworthy, how can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth." Silence. Complete surrendered silence. And what happened next? God showed up. God spoke. God vindicated. God restored double everything Job had lost. Your vindication is not coming through your defense. It's coming through your silence. But now, and listen carefully, because this is your commissioning. Now that you understand the power you've been carrying, God is giving you 4 commands. 4 declarations that will define the rest of your days on this earth. Walk in quiet authority. Not loud, not explaining yourself at every turn. Not proving your worth to people who wouldn't recognize your value if God himself wrote it across the sky. Walk like someone who knows that the creator of the universe has already spoken over your life, and nothing else needs to be said. Move with dignity. You've spent decades bowing to people's opinions, shrinking to make others comfortable, apologizing for taking up space. No more. You are 70, 80, 90 years refined. You've earned every gray hair, every line on your face, every scar on your soul. Move through this world like the royalty you are. Do not justify your calling to anyone. When God called Jeremiah the prophet said, "I'm too young." When God called Moses, he said, "I can't speak well." When God called Gideon, he said, "I'm the weakest." But God didn't argue with them. He didn't defend his choice. He simply said, "I have chosen you." That's all the justification you need. Your calling doesn't require their approval. Your assignment doesn't need their understanding. You answer to an audience of one. Let God speak for you. Proverbs 31:10 says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves." But here's the mystery. Sometimes you are the one who cannot speak. Not because you lack the words, but because God has sealed your lips until He's ready to open them with thunder. And when He does speak for you, or, beloved, when He does, every mouth that rose against you will be silenced. Every accusation will crumble. Every lie will be exposed. You think you've been waiting for your moment. Your moment has been waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear it coming. Here's your final revelation, the one that changes everything. Your silence didn't come to punish you. It came to promote you. Every word you held back was being stored up like compound interest in heaven's account. Every defense you refused to give was adding zeros to your spiritual authority. Every time you walked away when you could have destroyed someone with your tongue, you were being elevated in realms you cannot see. The silence was never about them. It was always about you. God was preparing you for rooms where your voice will carry the weight of nations. He was refining you for conversations where one word from your mouth will shift atmospheres. He was maturing you for a season where your whisper will silence storms. But you had to learn to be quiet first. Look around you right now. Look at this moment. Heaven is quiet because heaven is working. When God is about to move, He doesn't announce it with trumpets. He announces it with stillness. The same God who spoke worlds into existence is the same God who works in the silence. And He's working on you right now. Your tomorrow is being shaped by the words you're not saying today. Your next decade is being written by the restraint you're showing this week. Your legacy is being carved by the silence you're keeping in this season. So here's what I need you to do before you leave this sacred space. I need you to make a declaration, not just in your heart, not just in your mind. Publicly, boldly. Declare it in the comments right now. My silence is sacred. Type those 3 words. Let heaven record your agreement. Let the angels witness your covenant. Let the enemy know that you finally understand the weapon you've been carrying. And then, this is crucial, share this message. There's someone in your life right now walking through a silent season, feeling forgotten, feeling voiceless, wondering if God has abandoned them in the quiet. They need to hear this. They need to know they're not alone. They need to understand that their silence is shaping everything. You are not just a viewer who stumbled across a video. You are a commissioned warrior being released into your highest calling. Your silence has been your training ground. Now it's time to step into your authority. The still waters run deep, chosen one, and you are deeper than anyone ever imagined. Heaven is quiet because heaven is working, and so are you.